India and Pakistan are two countries that probably have one of the biggest love-hate relationships in the world. In fact, if you think about their relationship and compare that to what people say about women, you'd say you can't live with them, you can't live without them. Welcome back to another episode of FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton. This is a channel where we talk about everything and everything, and this is a pretty exciting one. I'm going to be talking about Indians and Pakistan's. What's the big difference here? Because like myself and many other people from the West, for the most part, we actually have no clues. So I did some digging just to find out what exactly makes Indians and Pakistanis different. So to begin, we got to do a little bit of a history lesson. So you ready for this? The Indian subcontinent used to be ruled by the British Empire for almost 200 years, but when World War II ended, the British were in no position to hold on to their stronghold over the Indian subcontinent. But the British didn't leave before partitioning the Indian subcontinent into two separate nations, India and Pakistan. On the date of August 14, 1947, Pakistan became an independent country. However, there was no correct way to divide the line with the Hindu majorities as well as the Muslim majorities. How do you divide that? There was a mixture of people of different faiths all over the Indian subcontinent. Because of this improper partitioning of the Indian subcontinent, there was mass-scale casualties on both sides. Violence broke out all over the country, and the partition left over 1 million dead and almost 20 million people were displaced from their homes. It's been almost 70 years since this separation, and it goes without saying that the last 70 years haven't been the easiest for either countries. Both of them had to overcome hurdles and challenges, and had to really work hard to get global recognition in many different fields. So we have a little brief history lesson. If you want to find out more about the Indian and Pakistan partition, you got to check out our video, The Truth Behind the India-Pakistan Conflict. I have the link to that down below. I go in a lot of detail about it. But moving forward now, let's take a look at some of the cultural differences, the language differences, as well as there's some differences that exist only because the two places are now two separate countries. But they're not really major differences, it's just the fact that they're two different countries, that's why those differences exist. Now the population of India at the time of filming this is 1,342,552,725. Pakistan's population in comparison is 196,754,400 people. India is considered a secular nation, whereas Pakistan is considered a Muslim state. And just to give you a little bit of background about that, India was conceived as a secular democracy by National Congress leaders such as Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. It was meant to guarantee all the people in the South Asian subcontinent political and religious freedom. However, people like Muhammad Ali Jinnah, considered to be the father of Pakistan, as well as other Muslim Congress leaders, were the driving forces behind the formation of Pakistan, and so it became a Muslim state. And speaking of that, actually, one of the biggest differences between the two countries is religion. Although India is considered a secular nation, by majority, 80% of people identify as Hindu, while of course the majority of people in Pakistan identify as Muslim. It's also interesting to note that Pakistan has the second largest Muslim population in the whole world. Now, one thing to address, and I know the point may be a little controversial, but there's no specific single Pakistan culture separate from a specific Indian culture. It's like having a plate of food, you know, with your rice, chicken, and vegetables, and that plate of food is divided, and then now it's like, oh, we were once the same plate of food, but you have more chicken, so therefore the chicken is your culture. Wait, but that was part of my culture. Yeah, probably not the best analogy, but I think you get the point. Pakistan alone is 5 times smaller than India, and there's about 300 dialects and languages. The count for dialects and languages in India number over 1,500. But let's take a look more into the language differences. There's 2 official languages for communication in Pakistan, and those are Urdu and English. Now, there are several regional languages of Pakistan, and those are Sindhi, Punjabi, Baluchi, Pashto, Saraiki, Godri, and Hindko. But the national language of Pakistan is Urdu. When it comes to the languages in India, the 2 official languages for communication in India are English and Hindi. And yes, there are also regional languages, and those are Gujarati, Marathi, Tamil, Urdu as well, Sanskrit, Punjabi, and there's many more. And the national language in India is Hindi. The national animal of India is this guy, the Bengal tiger. The markhor is the national animal of Pakistan, and I had to look this up, and it's a species of goat. I've never heard of this before until this video. In terms of currency, Pakistan uses Pakistani rupees, India uses Indian rupees. Pretty self-explanatory. The most popular greeting in Pakistan is Assalamu alaikum. India, there are several like Namaste, Ram Ram, Jai Sri Ram, and Sat Shri Akal. Now let's talk about the difference in death. Pakistan, after the death of any Muslim, the body actually needs to be buried as quickly as possible from the time of death. This is according to Islamic law. To prepare the body for burial, it has to be washed and covered with kafan. And kafan, you can also call that a shroud or a cloth. Now in India, when a Hindu dies, Hindus don't necessarily bury their bodies. Instead, they're burnt. And after the burning of the bodies, the ashes are sprinkled in the Ganges River or any other sacred body of water. Now, finally, let's talk about the cuisine, the food, the good stuff. As you can tell, India is a big place, right? One of the biggest populations on the planet. And of course, it used to be bigger. It consisted of the areas that are now Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, formerly Burma. So the notion of Indian food is not entirely accurate to begin with. Also, the term Pakistani cuisine is a little bit vague too, because Pakistan didn't exist as a nation until 1947. But for the sake of them now being two different countries, we can make a little bit of a distinction here. Pakistani cuisine can be considered a subset of Indian cuisine, but even that subset is pretty diverse, in the sense that the spices and the ingredients in Indian and Pakistani food are pretty much the same, but the way the food is prepared can be quite different. For example, the kind of food that you would find being cooked in a South Indian home would be dal, rasam, sambar, etc. It's completely different from Pakistani kebabs. So in many Pakistani dishes, it's very meat heavy, but there's a difference between those meat heavy dishes and the vegetarian dishes in some parts of India. So yeah, again, describing something as Indian food and Pakistani food is a bit tricky because food isn't necessarily national, it's more regional. Don't think anyone can be like, no, this is Indian food, this is Pakistani food, two different things. It's just not possible. So there you guys go. These are some of the differences between the two countries, Pakistan and India. We see that the certain fundamental belief systems of each country sort of color the whole culture of each country. But one thing to remember is that there's no better nation, because better is subjective, it's not objective. So rather than nitpicking someone else's culture or religious beliefs, let's aim to really understand where they're coming from, because despite everything else, we're all the same but different. We're the exact same in the fact that we're human beings, but different in the fact that we're all individuals and have different self-expression. So I say to all of you, my brothers and sisters, I love and appreciate all of you for simply being you. I may not agree with everything that you guys have to say, and you may not necessarily agree with everything that I have to say in terms of a personal perspective, but if you are a person living on this earth, you have some value. And never let anyone tell you that you're worthless, all right? So I say to all my Pakistani and Indian viewers, as well as wherever else you're watching from, peace. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if this is your first time here. You can also check out some of our other videos on India and Pakistan, as well as all the other cultures that we talk about on this channel. Thanks for tuning in guys, and I'll see you in another video.